Hey everyone, I just wanted to create a quick video to go over a few reactions to the discussion board from week 4 on the documentary reactions on The Color of Fear. I posted a couple comments here and there, not a ton in the discussion, but I was kind of collecting my thoughts for this video. So three main areas, and I want to make this brief. Uh, I really hope that you all remain open to your feelings and your hesitancies around culture, addressing culture in group work. Uh, Many of you kind of expressed like maybe feeling reservation around, you know, larger expressions of rage or anger. Like I think many of you referenced Victor. Uh, Sometimes, like, sure. Sometimes we need to be aware of like, okay, should we cut off that type of rage or that type of experience? Some of you are questioning that. I would ask, like, would we be shutting down important work by shutting down that rage in order to maybe protect ourselves? Can rage be acceptable and safe still? I think sometimes absolutely not. If it's leading to like any escalation towards anything physical or shouting matches, obviously that's a different story. But I felt that Victor was doing some important work and the group was able to handle it and able to work with it. That was my perception at least. So, but overall, I think we all need to lean into our feelings and get closer to them and help make sense of them. That's point number one. Number two, uh, I think some were saying like these issues, like this video was 30 years ago, and it's a very similar, if not the same conversation that's occurring today. So I think there might be this desire to have like a quick fix or to like be able to fix these large historical problems. But I'd encourage you to think like, how does change work around macro level culture change? Like, how does that work? My perception and experience, at least, is that it's a slow trickle of change, and there's a larger inner work. We might have policy changes that are dramatic and important, but ultimately, like my perspective of larger change, at least for me, like I said, I'm really trying to just own my perception, not necessarily impose it on any of you. But if we're not changing internally, then these macro level or out external changes might not do much because the inner change hasn't occurred yet. So cultural changes, I think, are larger when there's inner changes inside people. I think that's where we can have some influence there. Uh, and I was also thinking about that, when have we ever had a period in history where true justice for all people or all groups of people, like in a nation or in a community, when has that ever occurred where there's been true justice? It seems like that's been the human striving for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and we're still continuing in that work. This slow trickle towards increased understanding and fairness. Uh, just a few thoughts. Last thing, some of you mentioned the need to be neutral in your beliefs, and I just wanted to address how some ethical considerations about that neutrality, which ultimately I agree with. I think we do need to be neutral, but that doesn't mean we can't have our own beliefs, obviously. But here's what the ACA Code of Ethics says. So A4B, that specific code addresses personal values. It says counselors are aware of and avoid imposing their own values, attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Counselors respect the diversity of clients, trainees, and research participants and seek training in areas in which they are at risk of imposing their values on the clients, especially when the client's values are inconsistent with the client's goals or are discriminatory in nature. In the preamble, it also says that counselors honor diversity and embrace a multicultural approach in support of the worth, dignity, potential, and uniqueness of people within their social and cultural contexts. So, why I wanted to read those two is we can't impose our beliefs, yet we're still trying to honor diversity, honor the uniqueness and worth and dignity of all clients. So we it might sometimes it might feel like, hey, I want this client's belief to change because I view it as an awful belief, and I think we can, try to encourage change or confront the client about the negative impacts of their belief system, but ultimately it's always going to be the client's choice. Like autonomy is one of the core meta ethical principles, and we can't control the client ultimately. Like ultimately, who decides what next steps are needed and to be acted upon? It's the client. uh so I'm not trying to say that we just need to say, okay, whatever, like discriminatory beliefs in the client, or like I'll just never address those. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that we also, as counselors, need to always be checking, okay, is my bias coming in here? Are my values and beliefs coming here? And am I trying to change the client to align with what I think and believe? So I think that's why neutrality can be important, at least trying to kind of maintain this place of neutrality, of always checking ourselves to ensure that we're not imposing values. So anyways, just a few thoughts from the discussion board that came up, and I appreciated the honesty and engaging in that important video and conversation. Thanks.